Everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Promotion Tie. Bankrupt once again by Adam. As today we go over Vegeks taking on SS3 Goku. Like always, there's buttons, links, check them out. But let's get into today's matchup. What's going on, Adam?
Living the dream, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. So,
Good.
what Chase just flashed you is the only deck card in his deck list that's a proxy. That is the regional SS4 Vegeta Overwhelm card, which is still like, I think, $50 for the cheapest one. I might be wrong on that, but I mean, it's still an expensive card of those original regional cards. But yeah, Chase has been on the Vegeks list for a while. He's been bringing, I think this is the second or third week he's brought it.
Yeah.
So he's very comfortable with it. And I did play against him also during this night as well. So it was kind of fun seeing it out again. Now, of course, Vegeks has been changed where instead of you milling the top 5 cards, you mill the top 3 cards. And I think the Awaken's still the same. This thing is still 20 cards. It just takes longer to get there now than when it used to.
Yeah.
And also with Vegeks, there are 4 cards in the deck that do get played off of them being milled. There is a Kai, a Unison, a Vegeta, and a Trunks. The Trunks has the ability to take a life on play, which is pretty nice. I do know during your all's game, Chase forgot about that because in our matchup, because me and Chase played the third round, he was, I was like, cool, you can take a life now? He's like, oh yeah, I can do that. So, because he always forgets about that one.
Yeah, does he? I can't remember if it awakens at either Sparking 20 or for life, or is it just Sparking 20?
It's either one.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, I can pull it up in a second and post it on the video if I'm wrong, but I think it's either or.
Yeah, and I'm of course running a homebrew. I don't do net decking often, but this is I call it my Farmer Goku deck because his strategy is a mill strategy. So we'll see how that works against a deck that wants to mill.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think I did set up the life beforehand, so I did kind of get a glimpse of what was happening in this matchup, and I was like, oh, this is not a good matchup. Like, he wants to mill cards, like that just helps him.
Well, and it was so funny because when I heard that I was matched up against Chase, I raised my hand and said, "Judge, how do I beat Vegeks with a mill deck?"
So, what's great about Goku is that you get the easy ramp. What sucks about Goku is that it doesn't draw a lot of cards early on, so it gets really hard to kind of get where you need to get going. A lot of people sometimes will obviously run the Zeno super combos to cycle the cards that they're ramping from their life, because like when I play this deck, I want to put in the draw 2 Gokus and stuff like that, so that way I can just give them the drop, use their effect to draw. I want to use cards like 17, 18 Unison in order to get the free combos out of the way, so I'm not expending cards from my hand to get a combo off. But like you're playing a mill route, so obviously I assume you're playing the Janemba Agent of Destruction card Unison.
Yep. Yeah, I'm full of Janembas, and I think I've only got 4 cards in my deck that are black. Everything else is blue. So yeah, and I've also in my particular list I run 3 of the King Colds that mills 5 because it's really easy for me to play that card. It costs 6 and I get to restand 3 at the end of my turn, so it doesn't really feel as bad as it does in a normal deck.
So here you're getting off early. And that's getting him a good setup. Having that Trunks in the drop, because I know Chase runs Overrealms, as we can see the 2 cards he's charged are Overrealms, and we see in his hand right now he has plenty of Overrealm targets. As long as he gets the correct, I think he needs 8 other cards in his 8 total cards in his warp. Then for 2 energy, he's playing this dual attack Trunks, which is just really strong.
Yep. And it's with this strategy, I mean, not only is he bursting, but he's also milling, so he gets 2 chances per turn almost to try to find those cards at play, from the mill.
Correct, because they play off of any skill that puts them to the drop, not just the leaders. So like if you would have hit something with that Janemba, he could have played, which is great. And I think you're about to use a negate, which we're all very familiar with, Oceanus. So this is a particular negate where Chase could feel more comfortable going, yeah, I can push against this because it puts me in a better place.
Yeah,
And also,
here I realize that I have to discard that card rather than put it at the bottom of my deck, so I fixed it.
Chase has a big hand, which is great. Sometimes it helps out a lot. Primarily just because he hasn't been comboing things off. He's just kind of holding on to the cards he gets. Because what he likes to do is, in this case, he likes Overwhelm where it's necessary. And I will point out that is only 7 cards. So we're not going to see Trunks hit the board this turn. But, well, I think it was 8 cards and he made it 7 cards by pulling that card back to his hand.
Yeah.
But with this strategy, he's going to mill these cards ahead of time because of Oceanus' effect. That kind of hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great card to get onto the board as a combo piece later on, but his hand is so fat that it's not 100% necessary.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily wanting to take him down to 0 life. I don't want him to awaken, and that was kind of my strategy through most of the night. I would try to keep people at either 6 or 5 life, but there's so many of those token negates now that if you get them down to 5, they're likely going to 4 on their own volition.
The problem though with you is that you kind of have to hit the life. You have to go that direction because if you don't, you're screwed. I feel like.
Yeah.
So here he had to another 4 cards because of Ocean's effect.
If I decide to do this again,
yeah. And he managed to get the unison off on that effect. So he's pulled 2 cards during his turn about using a leader effect, which is kind of good. Just it makes his board better. So he is currently, I think he's sitting with 6 cards currently in his drop. That makes 7 because he had discarded a card, I think, for the +1. And there's another Vegeta and another Kai. But I think at this point, he's no longer playing. Oh, they may reread it. There's not R in the board. It's been a while since I played Vegeks. But that puts him up to, I think, 10 cards now. So he's getting to a point now where, based on all his own milling and then with Oceanus' effect, his deck's actually getting kind of low as it is as well. So he's in a situation where he needs to get attack off in combo, or he needs to pass it to you, see what you do, and respond to you, I feel like. But he still has all his energy to do whatever he needs.
Yeah, and I really felt the whole time like, oh man, this is just going to be an uphill battle the entire time. And so it was sitting down across from Chase, knowing that he was going to be, he wanted to get cards into his drop. He would be able to awaken at 20, sparking 20. Basically, if he's got 20 cards in his drop area, he's invincible from my alternate win condition. So there was a lot of how many cards do you have left in your deck, and how many cards do you have left in your drop.
So here he plays Vegeta. It's a promo Vegeta that searches top 5 for a Saiyan, I think. But then he can activate the Yun Patara using a Trunks from the drop, putting on top of it or underneath it. And he gets to play the Vegeks on top of that. And I think he will go into the 7-drop after this, which is a double strike 25k or 30k. I can't remember exactly top of my head which one it is. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So he's established his card, and he's already hit your unison 1. I think your unison now has 2 markers on it. And he'll actually apply more pressure to your unison, just kind of wiping it out, so that way it's not a problem to him. I think he doesn't want to give you any additional resources, is where he's sitting at.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not doing too bad in my hand size. I mean, better than I probably could be doing. Just with the way this, the advantage of this, and this is my baby Hatchiyak, which is
Hatch is really good. And for clarifications, Chase currently has 5 cards. Yes, 5 cards in in his deck, and he has 13 cards in his drop right now. He really needed that attack to go off so he could combo cards off. So the question is, going into your turn, you're for sure going to pull 2 cards out of his deck right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it's kind of like, can you take him out, or is it just over with? Because that Hatch is like your big negate in my opinion. Like,
Well, and even if I attack, right? Even if I attack, he combos,
Yeah.
and those go into the drop, and now he can awaken and he can shuffle his drop back into his deck.
Yep. So Chase over here kind of checking his hand out, seeing what he got going on here. So there's a couple negates in there too in his hand. So you do activate Janimbas, which is a draw 1, mill 1. And you're paying 4? Yeah, 4. And you do end up playing, as we already seen, you had one in your hand to discard, so which means you had a second one of these Janimbas. And it just has an activate main Godol's Agent of Destruction card where it makes your opponent mill 3 cards. And that's game. That was very quick. And
that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I milled Vegeks. It felt so good.
It was a situation where Chase felt very comfortable until you played Hatch, and he was like, "Oh, this changes things up a little bit."
That messes up the math.
I will say, in that, as soon as he passed turn, all Chase says, "If you can mill me 5, that's game," and you were able to successfully do that. I was sitting beside you guys with playing against Jake, and I went over like, "What just happened?" Because like we had just started the round. This video was not sped up at all. It took about 10 minutes for it to be over with. But that's it today. Thanks for all tuning in. Keep in mind, there's buttons, links down below. Feel free to click them there for a reason. And bye.